right, so level up your business by selling more new construction with Shelby McQueeney. So we've been business partners for 4 years. Just the other day.
Yeah.
Was that yesterday?
Sunday.
Okay, so just the other day, 4 years, but a realtor for 5 years. You actually grew up in the industry because your dad's a builder.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Construction company.
So, but doing 20 million consistently plus a year, has really grown your business by selling new construction. So that's why I have her on here, because she is an expert and knows exactly what she's talking about. So tell us a little bit just about like your numbers and how much new construction you're selling.
Yeah. So I broke down kind of my business for this year. I kind of laugh because I remember when I first got into the business, I was at my old broker, old forums class, and he was reviewing the new construction purchase agreement. And I go, I will never sell new construction. I don't like it. It's just not my jam, because I got into the business flipping houses with my dad. So I'm like, we'll do all these, flips, and I'll help clients with remodeling, all the things. Well, lo and behold, I did my first new construction transaction 3 years ago, and I absolutely loved it. And I go, more buyers need to know about new construction, and realtors need to have that knowledge about it. So this year alone, 44% of my buyers that came to me were not necessarily saying, hey, Shelby, I want new construction, or even on their radar, but they ended up buying new construction or building. And again, I think it's just having that knowledge in your back pocket about new construction inventory. And I learned very quickly with my clientele, a lot of my clientele are move-up buyers. Okay. So they had their first home and now they need to move into their second home with their growing family. Oftentimes they're coming to me, hey, maybe we're contingent, or, maybe they're not very comfortable going $50,000 over asking with paying $50K cash, with how crazy the market was in the springtime. So I had to be a solution-oriented realtor and come up with options for them. Okay. Whether if it was off-market opportunities or new construction.
So you might not even know that you're selling it, but you're like, here are some more options. As a good realtor, you're just giving people options and I feel like a lot of people, I would say, for me in the beginning, they're like, no, I'm not going to do new construction. I want bigger lots. No way, I would never do. And then they all buy, right? But it's just showing them and letting them decide. And you as a realtor, giving them more options, you really stand out. And that's why you're selling so much, is because you're just saying, okay, we can look at these existing and here's some other options for you too.
Yeah. And when I got into this business, I knew any realtor could set someone up on the MLS, right? Any realtor can set a buyer up on the MLS. They'll get email notifications. But for me, I always said that I want to be the value add realtor. And I also learned I'm very proactive. I'm mentioning to them new construction communities, builders. It's not even on their radar, but when they tell me what they're looking for, I can match them up with a community that fits what they need. And then also digging up off-market opportunities.
And not only that, they're not all on the MLS. Rarely are they ever all on the MLS. So you knowing and having conversations with these reps, she's very good at having relationships with these guys, of knowing, okay, maybe there's a community and they don't put it on the MLS until they're at drywall. We'll know about it before, right? So that's how you've been good too.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And so kind of the breakdown these last 3 years of new construction. So 3 years ago in 2020, 37% of my buyers built new construction. That's when I found a huge passion for it. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And the process was fun. I mean, designing and building your dream home. That moved to 52% of my clients ended up building last year new, and then 63% this year bought or build new construction. So for next year, I already have about 2.5 million pending in new construction. It is a longer process, right? Especially if they build from the ground up. Typically it's anywhere from 6 to 12 months, depending upon the builder location. So it's very relationship focused. It's a longer process with your clientele. I was a little bit hesitant to share this information, but I feel like new construction has changed my business too. It's learned for me to be really efficient with my time, become an expert, truly an expert in something, and to truly, provide value for my clients. And so of my buyers this year, 56% of those I've showed one home to. And I do a lot of prep work up front before I'm showing them homes. And I think that what tells me is my buyers typically get the house that they want when they're working with me.
But not only that, you're not the agent that shows them a million homes. I mean, sometimes that happens every once in a while, but we never want that, right? Like then you get buyer burnout. Then they're like, oh, I'm not going to do it until next year. But if you're really narrowing that down and listening to their needs, that's crazy. One home.
One home, 56%. Yeah. 25% showed 2 homes, 13% of buyers, I showed 3 homes, and then 6% I showed 4 homes. And so I've realized, just kind of looking at these numbers, I truly do have a process, whether or not if I realized it before. And so here's kind of my process in how to sell new construction, because keep in mind, 44% of my buyers that came to me, they did not say, hey, Shelby, I want to build new construction. This is me, offering insights and kind of having my process. So process number 1. So you have to educate your clients both on the existing market along with new construction. They have to know what's happening in the existing market world. This spring, homes were selling 50K over, $100,000 over. Are they contingent? Are they non-contingent? What does that look like when writing an offer? What are they comfortable with? Oh, hey, by the way, tell me about the school districts that you want, style of home, all the things. This is a kind of quote unquote normal buyer consult that you're still having with the buyer when going the new construction route. All my clients are set up on the MLS just like any other buyer, because I need them to see what's actually on the MLS and what they can get for their money. Okay.
And what's selling quick. Like if that's selling quick and that price point, then they're like, oh, that went quick.
Yep.
Right.
It's the same conversation. And in order for them to feel confident in making a quick decision on new construction or even going the new construction route, they have to know their options, right? Go over the purchase agreement, tips and tricks on how to write a strategic offer. So I'm doing all that in my initial consult with them. Okay.
I like that you're doing the existing, you're talking existing, this is what you can expect. And also with new construction, this is what you could expect too. And especially right now, there's so many different incentives going on for financing. It's always changing. Inventory is changing, stuff on the MLS, it might not be on here. So just having those conversations and saying, hey, I know you're looking at existing, but just wanted to let you know, this builder is offering 2.99% financing right now. Just want to let you know. Then you're adding value. It's up to them.
Yeah. And I do all that upfront. You're exactly right. And then during that time, sometimes they want to check out, existing houses, but maybe they're not so serious on it. And so I invite them to check out open houses, because here's the thing. You don't want to have the seller prep their house for a showing only to schedule a showing for someone who's maybe not interested. I feel like it's kind of a bad reflection on the realtor. And then waste that, seller's time too. So I do have them, go through open houses in kind of the area that they're looking for existing and to get
you make sure they're under contract first, or how do you do that?
I don't. It hasn't bit me in the butt yet. I mean, I feel a lot of people come to me either through a referral or social media. So I feel like they kind of know me upfront.
Yeah. So, and they're loyal to you. So that's good. But I do think you have to be careful. Like when you send people out, you got to make sure like, hey, we're working together. Here's buyer paperwork. By the way, PSO, by the way, usually buyers, I'm working for free for you, because the seller almost always, you got to be careful what you say, is almost always is paying that commission. So, but I'm glad it's worked out for you. That shows that your clientele is loyal. Mm-hmm. They find you of value. But be careful. Sometimes you got to have buyer, but I'm a big one. And can I just ask you this quick? I'm a big one. Like I don't meet with somebody right away and give them buyer paperwork. I want them to like and trust and know that I am truly an expert. Yeah. So I think it's like a balance. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I could be better at buyer paperwork up front, but it hasn't bit you in the butt. I know. Okay. And knock on this. Now this is going to be the biggest game changer I know for my business. Okay. And this is really where I truly have shifted it. With every client I meet, I am suggesting new construction right away. Hey, have you thought about new construction? Well, you said that you wanted to be in Wayzata schools, or you said that you wanted to be around this general location. And this is the style of home that you're telling me. I know in this market, maybe what you're describing, this happens too, is what they're describing is they can't really get that for their budget, right? Well, they want something that's new, totally updated. They don't have to do a lot of work. Or they want, these home features, whatever it may be. I'm always recommending new construction. And if they say no, that's totally fine, but at least I'm giving them an option, because we are in a market where it's shortages, right? There's just not enough inventory. And for me, I want to make this transaction really smooth for my clients. And I like to be given options. And so that's what I do for my clients as well. So when you suggest new construction, I do it with every single one of my clients. They are receptive to it. Sometimes they aren't, but then guess what? They'll go back to it because they'll compare. But it's giving them the option anyways, is giving them the option. They get to decide. And a lot of times I feel like you, more often than not, my clients did go that way, even though they said in the beginning, I would not buy new construction. Yeah. So it's just giving them options.
What I feel like realizing too, that new construction doesn't always mean more money. And I feel like sometimes that's what buyers associate it to. And so you have to show
like,
them
I can't afford it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
mhm.
can't afford it type of thing. And then I would also say, kind of the process to know your value add as a realtor, representing a buyer versus, a buyer going directly to the builder rep. I mean, what is your value add as a realtor? I would say, do a social media post right now. If you guys want to focus in on new construction, these are your value adds. Hey, I'm a realtor. I will offer unbiased builder recommendations per your price point, neighborhood, and location. I'm here to give you guys options. Okay. Versus a builder rep, they stick to one product, they stick to one builder. Okay. Value add as a realtor.
They are representing the builder, not you.
Well, and that leads into our second one. Second one, I'm here to represent you and to negotiate on your behalf. The builder rep is there to work with the builder. Okay. That's who they were hired to represent or work for. Number three, inspections. I'm going to represent an inspection for every single new construction client. Okay. I'm always recommending it. Believe it or not, things come up and it's no fault to the builder. Sometimes it's a manufacturing defect that, windows or doors or whatever it may be. But again, you're just having that third party inspector there to ensure that the home is, within good standing. And then number four, a smooth transaction. I'm here for you to, voice any concerns or just have someone that you can talk to anytime that you need to, right? I'm here to ensure that smooth experience.
And if there's an issue, I'm here to advocate for you. I'm here to advocate for you. The builder rep who works for the builder works for the builder.
Yeah.
Right. Like we don't know. A lot of times they're great to work with, but should there be a problem, you're advocating for them.
Yep, absolutely. But in order to be able to suggest more new construction and builders and all the things, you have to know your builders and you have to know your new construction communities. It's not going to do any good selling more new construction if you're not taking the time to educate yourself.
Okay. One thing before you go on to that, I love that. What I want to say too is what a lot of people don't realize is we know this, like they go into model homes and they go and they don't use a realtor and they're unrepresented, right? And some communities are better than others of saying you should have representation, you should have a realtor. But I think a really good message is you can work with me, ask me, and say it, you got to be careful what you say, but ask me how you can literally work with me for free, right? Because that 2.7% is getting paid out, or sometimes people are cheaper than that and whatever, but that is getting paid out by the builder. So it's literally, you're paying our broker admin fee, $499. So you literally get representation of somebody who's going to advocate for you, talk to you about inspections and, all the things for pretty much free. A lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, it is free. It is free to work with a realtor when buying a home, whether it's existing or new construction. And so it's important to educate buyers on that. But again, going back to,
and I just want to say, that you have to be careful putting that message out there, but that is truly almost always what it is. They're working with you for free. Careful what you put on the messaging so you don't get fined by somebody who tattles on you.
Oh yeah, that happens. Okay, so take the time to educate and know your builders and neighborhoods. Oftentimes when a buyer comes to me and they're describing what they want, I already know what builder is going to be a good fit for them. And I have it happen so many times. I mean, it's not necessarily like a builder or buyers coming to me and say, hey, I want to build with this builder in this neighborhood. It's like, well, this is kind of what I'm looking for. What do you recommend? I know builder reps. I know builders. I know their processes. They're all different. Okay. They're all different. And it's your job to understand what makes a builder different, timelines, price points, locations, all those things.
So a lot of people don't know these builders. How would you recommend them to get to know these builders, the products? What did you do?
So this is my next step, how to stay educated. Okay, and you guys should be doing this right now if you truly want to become a new construction expert. Okay, you need to be following builders and new construction communities on Instagram and Facebook. I'm following, my go-to builders, and I'm sharing their stuff on my page. So that way my followers see that, I know a new neighborhood that's about to hit the market. So make sure that you're following them, staying connected on social media, sign up for builders newsletters. I mean, we're getting newsletters of incentives, new homes that are hitting the market, or new homes hitting the neighborhood, whatever it is. Make sure that you're getting on the builders newsletters, email lists. And again, I'm a strong advocate for this. if you're a realtor, in a specific area, you should be set up on the MLS. I'm getting notifications sent to me every day of new homes hitting the market, whether if it's existing or new construction. It keeps me on my toes and to stay educated.
So you set it up for yourself. So you are looking at it all the time within areas, price points. Brilliant.
Yeah. I'm primarily the whole Northwest West Metro. And so a huge search radius for me, emails sent to me every single day. And then also make those connections with your builder reps. Okay. Get on their personal email lists. I mean, we have relationships with a lot of builder reps, and they send us inventories. Hey, had not on the MLS, but here's a spec home that will be completed, this date. And then we just forward it to our clients. Right. So you can also build that relationship personally with the reps
and talking to them and finding out what's off market too, and then letting your clients know about that. So talking about builder reps for a sec, every builder rep is used to this. Like, hey, I'm a new agent. Do you have any referral? Here's my cards if you want to refer business. They hear that all the time. We have always led with, we are not going to ask that. We are going to bring in buyers. We're going to ask you questions and literally do business with you. And then you've been really good at getting, all of a sudden they'll have a referral. Someone's coming into town from Washington or wherever it is. Here's a referral, Shelby. Will you help them? So that, I feel like you've done a good job. And as a team, we've done a good job of adding value, because then we also get, they refer us.
Because we have the business to give, right? We're marketing them, we're promoting them, we're showing their, homes on our social media pages. We are bringing them buyers. We aren't just, give me. We're like, hey, we want to help you too, right? We want to partner with you on this.
Yep.
So again, just educating yourself on the new construction process. It's a lot easier for a client to trust you and to go the new construction route. I feel like there's such a lack of knowledge in the new construction world. Whether it's from buyers or realtors, because it is a little bit scary, right? You're so used to a standard purchase agreement, and now this builder has their own purchase agreement. Well, what if there's something in there that happens and it now protects the builder? So I think it's just, becoming familiar with every builder and their processes, their purchase agreements, and all those things. And then it'll put your clients more at ease as well.
And setting expectations on that purchase agreement for new construction is really important. I'm curious what you say. When I sell new construction, I'm saying, here's the deal. This is 100-page. This is pretty overwhelming before they get there, because otherwise they're really overwhelmed. This is 100 pages. It can be overwhelming. Feel free to ask me any questions. And by the way, you're not going to change anything in that. So if you want to change something, then don't work with this builder, because they are not going to change anything in that purchase agreement. Ask me any questions, right? So I think it's really important to set expectations before you go to that PA signing, because it can be really overwhelming. It's going to take an hour, but there's some people that are so detailed, it could literally take 4 hours. So even giving it to them beforehand, asking the rep, hey, can I get a copy beforehand? Things like that. What do you say?
Yeah. So I'm always there for the signing of the purchase agreement, right? I mean, it's our job. We should be there. During that, the builder rep will go over the whole purchase agreement, and then I will add in my 2 cents where needed. I'll let, the builder rep do their job, because I want to be easy to work with while still representing my clients. So that's what I would say. And then if there's any questions at that signing of the purchase agreement, I mean, they can certainly ask me.
Really good point. You need to be at the purchase agreement signing. There are plenty of people that don't go to that. And then those builder reps will be talking about you. Why are they even getting commission? They weren't even here. You need to be there.
Okay, number 3, and then know your builder incentives and what kind of offers they're willing to accept. So for instance, if someone's, whether it was just a builder rep that was offering $50,000 off any quick moving homes before end of the year. Well, that is a big deal for someone who's maybe looking at the market right now. They're not really finding what they want, and now they can get $50,000 off, plus maybe some money towards closing costs. Maybe they didn't have that cash to closing. And if they were to go to the existing market, they would have to try to find a seller who's willing to do that. Also, again, I work a lot with move up clients. If they're contingent, it was really, really hard earlier this year for the existing market to want to work with a contingent offer. Builder reps, most of them will, especially in times right now.
You did a really good job recently. You're working with a client, and the market has obviously changed. They're getting a free lower level. They are doing things. This builder is doing things that we haven't seen literally for years. And they're contingent. We're going to be selling their home soon, right? They did things, but that wouldn't have happened if you didn't show that community, because they weren't even looking there. You showed that community, and you asked the questions. You asked these questions, and you made it work.
Yeah. And I will say they did see that community. And then when they told me, what they were wanting, I'm like, no, we need to go back. You need to come with me, and we need to chat with this builder rep. And so just by them talking and telling me what they wanted, I knew during that phone call, this is the community that you're describing based on what you're telling me along with the builder.
And I know you're good about being like, hey, let's just go back. Let's go back one more time. I know you saw that, but gosh, some of these things just feel like a really good fit. No worries if you don't want to, but that's how you got it done.
Yep.
And otherwise we would be sitting and not having that client, not having a listing that's going to be for sale in a month or so.
Yep. Okay. And then here are some actions that you could do for lead gen opportunities to attract new construction clients. Okay. So for me, I'm a big believer with that you are what you attract on social media. So if you're posting really pretty, design suburbs homes, because we're in Minnesota, right? Unless if you're someplace else, post like homes, that's going to get like clients interested or potential buyers interested. Oh, who's that builder? Who's that home?
You sell what you show.
Yeah.
You sell what you show. Yes.
Yeah. So that's how it starts the conversation.
And also too, with people want to be busier, there's always model homes to go in.
Yeah.
Go in model homes, show it. Everyone wants. The builder reps typically aren't hired and I just saw somebody that's kind of good with social, but they're not great at social, right? So if we can be that for them, you'll also get on their radar. You start showing it, you start selling it.
Yep. And then reels like new construction trends, like what we're seeing, right? I mean, that's going to be really popular too. And it's going to show that you're a new construction expert, along with builder highlights, all that stuff. And then also new construction tips. Number two, you could ask, and I actually told another agent to do this, ask builders to host their open houses. Now, of course, it's not going to work for every builder, but the small local builders that don't have kind of like your standard builder rep model home, they are willing to let you host most of them. I know that another agent just did that with a local builder in his area. So it does work. Of course, it's not going to work with, those big box.
Yeah. I think the majority won't let you, but I think you're showing, but every once in a while they do. And there's another person on our team, even with a bigger builder, that normally they don't do that. And they were like out of town. They're like, can you that, then you just be their go-to. You get on the radar. Hey, if you ever want us to host an open, I'll do social media for you, all the things, I'll make you shine. The majority of the time, they're not going to take you up on it, especially like you say at these nationals, because they have rules. Yeah. But why not show that you're willing to do anything and everything and help them out? And then if they're out of town and they might be in a bind, you help them.
Yeah. Exactly. So those were my two lead gen opportunities to attract new construction buyers right now.
Okay.
So that's it.
Let's talk about a couple questions. The appointments that you should be at as a realtor. So guys, a lot of us get reputations of selling new construction that we don't do anything. We don't do anything and we just pick up the commission check. Yeah. So what are the true to advocate for your buyers appointments that you should be at?
So, I will always go to the initial showings of new construction neighborhoods. Okay. I'm always there. I don't send my buyers into model homes without me there. So I'm always there for that initial consult because I know that I can speak on behalf of the builder too, to some extent with what they're looking for. And then I'm always there for the signing of the purchase agreement. And then typically you'll have your electrical meeting. I am there for most of that. The design appointment, that tends to be a little bit more of an intimate experience in my opinion. They're designing their forever home. I feel like that should just be them. I don't really swing by that one. I just want that time for them. Pre-drywall meeting, and then the celebratory walkthrough the week before.
Yep. And then, so I would just make sure what you go to, you're setting expectations. So they're like, okay, you're doing the design. They're not expecting you're there. You're like, oh my gosh, that's going to be so much fun. Send me the photos after, and you're setting that expectation. Mm-hmm. So make sure to be at some of these. What about let's talk inspections real quick.
Oh yeah.
Do you recommend them? How do you word that? And are you there for them?
Yeah. Every single client I will recommend inspection for. It's a liability on us as a realtor, right? I mean, we have to be protecting our booties. And B, I mean, oftentimes they're spending, $800,000, $900,000 on a home. I mean, whether if it's new or not, they still have a right to have a third party inspect the home and just kind of that peace of mind. And again, there are things that pop up with new construction, and oftentimes it's no fault to the builder. Like, don't get mad at the builder, right? I mean, this is just like a discovery thing of what issues might be about. And most of the time the home is perfect, but there are times where stuff comes up. And so if things have to be negotiated, do it in a respectful way. And usually the builder will take care of it.
So I will say this, like when I sell new construction, I will tell people like the majority of people don't do an inspection. The majority of people don't. On our team, almost everyone does. Now you got to be careful because you don't want that builder thinking you're a pain in the ass either, right? But I'll say this too, like if my buyers, I'll say, you'll spend $500. They might not find anything. Are you okay with that? I've still never had anyone, because they'll walk you through too, sometimes tell you how to take care of the home, educate you. You want your buyers there for the last hour. And then I always make sure I'm there for the last half hour or hour, especially if you're a new agent, go get educated on it. But just setting that expectation and telling them it's your choice. But like you said, protect your booty and make sure you said, and I have a whole text, that I send them. Here are your options. Here are new construction. Make sure you have good new construction inspectors, not the ones that are alarming, not the ones that are like, oh, I would really like that vent to do this. It's like, no, that's not to code. And now you just brought up something that is like flashing for my clients, think it's an issue, and the builder is not going to do it. It's really important to have the right new construction. Right.
I agree with you.
Inspections.
And just the expectation that we're looking for structural and safety concerns, right? I mean, if there's, a chipped paint, they're going to get to that when you do your blue tape walkthrough. That's not what I'm looking for. The house is still being worked on. Oftentimes builders are working great up until closing day. So I prep my clients on that. It's more so if there's anything major.
Yeah. And it's prepping them, like you said, too, because it's hard. New construction, a lot of our builders work up until like the day. So if you're doing that inspection and it's the week before, there's a lot of stuff that still is not done. And you need to set those expectations. A lot of stuff is not going to be done. So I don't want you to be alarmed. And sometimes will you do, like, it depends on how far that is, but a lot of times will you do another walkthrough with the client before closing?
If my clients want to, absolutely, I will. Oftentimes they're good at that week, like the celebratory, and they don't want to do a walkthrough, the day before, unless if the house is not where it should be at that week before.
Yes.
It's always their decision. Absolutely, I will do it.
Yeah. And sometimes people aren't that far and a builder like dropped the ball on something and then you need to go through or like get something. Okay. Okay. So those are the appointments to be at. Okay. All right. Sending, I can't read. What does this say? My writing. Oh, hey, this is what I was going to say. Okay. So I think it was interesting that you say you don't send anyone through model homes. So I think there's different approaches through this. You're with them. So you got to be careful. You got to protect your buyers, especially if they're not under contract. Okay. So you go with them to all the appointments. You're like, hey, we'll meet at, whatever. And you'll show them a bunch of models or whatever that is. I know for me, I would, as long as I have paperwork, I will send them through, but I'll be like, hey, Tracy Matson, hey, Christy Boltis, can I send a client through? I'm just going to send them through a couple neighborhoods, but I give them a heads up. And now I'm on their radar of sending buyers through. And these are the ones that said, oh, I don't think I'm going to buy new construction anyways. And you're like, okay, just go on Saturday and go through a couple and let me know what you think. So I always did that and that worked well for me. But I think also it's the combination of making sure they're under contract. So they just don't go and sign, because some people just, they see it and then they go and sign and they're like, oh, I thought I could still work with you. And you're like, oh, shoot, no, you already signed. And also just getting on these awesome reps radar that you're sending builders through to, or buyers through to. Yeah.
And I go to the model homes only because sometimes I feel like there's a disconnect of communication between the buyer and the builder rep. And I know what the buyer is looking for based on what they share with me. And sometimes I feel like it's not their realtor. So how much can they share? And so I'm there to kind of fill in some of the empty gaps. That's why I think it's beneficial, but I totally see that too.
Okay. One more question before we wrap up. We work with a lot of builders. Some are better than others. How do you deal with it? We never bash anyone on social media, but we definitely talk as a team, the people that, be careful of that builder. How do you deal with that? And how do you let your clients know about that?
Yeah, so I will say this, most builders are fantastic to work with, and most builders want the buyers to have their own realtor. And I say that with caution because they want someone who understands the new construction process. Yes, we know there's some builders out there who won't put you on the purchase agreement, but most builders and builder reps, if you talk to them, they want a buyer working with a realtor who has that new construction knowledge and kind of be that voice of reason for them. Most of the builders I've worked with have been really good. There was an agent that said to me yesterday, it's so smart that you specialize in new construction. It's probably so easy. I'm like, oh, whoa, no, that is not the case. I mean, I just had one where, the builder was almost in breach of contract, right? And so it's being there and advocating for your client and the voice of reason, and also having that expertise of new construction to understand what is a normal situation and what's not a normal situation, and just helping them, to get through it. I mean, that's what your buyers hired you for, right? Is there to negotiate and represent them on their behalf
and get the best deal
Yep.
right? And know that. I will say this, most of our national builders don't have a problem putting us on the purchase agreement, but I'd say when it gets into custom, and I have one of our awesome builder partners on here, and her and I were talking about that. Here's the deal. When you get into custom, and there's a lot of, I feel like, realtors that try to flex their muscles when they're at purchase agreement signing. They're a pain in the ass. And like some of these do not want to work with realtors. So I think it's more of the custom, but they're like, yeah, you're just going to complicate my life. You're going to ask stupid questions. And now I got to pay you 2.7%. So you really have to advocate and find that. But I find a lot of custom builders that we deal with, some of them would like to leave you off. For sure, they would like to leave you off.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to have buyer representation paperwork and show up with them. You got to show up and you got to advocate kindly.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that are, they're hiring us because they want you to advocate for them and get them the best deal, right? So you got to ask those questions, but I will behind the scenes ask the questions too. Like if you know that they're offering, like right now, there are incentives, washer and dryer, window treatments, water softener, things like that people are doing. So I would ask, so they know that you're, advocating for them. Hey, is there any other promotions that we should know about or take advantage of? We'd love to know about anything. And in a different market, whatever, 6 months, a year ago, it's like you're prepping them. I'm going to ask that question, but no one's doing anything right now. I'm going to ask it for you, but no one's doing anything. And you're not, I think, again, there's a lot of agents that get to signing and they flex their muscles and they make it a pain in the ass for that agent. Well, that agent's not going to want to work with you again.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to refer you. And obviously you're still advocating for your buyer, but you got to know what's realistic. So you're not making it a whole pain in the ass experience and you're not upsetting your buyer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, okay, let me look at, I think that's it. That was so good.
Yeah,
Thank you. So let's open this up. If anyone has questions real quick, I'm going to wrap up our recording, but go ahead and stay on. So thanks, guys.